friends, once again welcome back to my YouTube channel Spark. Today we are moving to Unit 4 of our syllabus. In this video I would like to discuss you about the topics on community organization. And in this session we will be discussing about some of the important concepts and subtopics which are coming under community organization. I hope you all are familiar with community organization. As you know, it's a primary method of social work. So we can discuss about the concept, definition, historical perspective of community organization in India, UK and USA, and human capital and social capital. And coming to the process of community organization, we can discuss about the steps in community organization, methods, principles, skills and assumptions of community organization. And in the approach of community organization practice, we can discuss about the models and role of community-based organizations. So let us begin the session with a brief introduction on community. What is community? As you all know, people living in a definite geographic area characterized by social coherence and we-feeling, which is known as a community. So here the most important thing is social coherence and we-feeling among the people. And as a social unit, community largely influences the quality of life of its members, and these communities differ tremendously with regard to development. We can see differences in each community, and which is due to the various reasons such as resource availability, physical characteristics, climate, population, technology and leadership, etc. It's a brief note on community. Now we can move to community organization. So what is community organization? As you know, fostering development and ensuring the quality of life of the members of the community is a major concern of social work profession. So we should know about community organization. The term community organization became an important concept in social work profession due to the publication of Lane Committee report in the year 1939. And as you know, this community organization is a primary method of social work and as a method which is used to make effort and direct towards community needs. And also it helps to develop integration within the community and helps the people to cooperate with each other. It's about community organization. Now we can move to the definitions on community organization. Actually, I have included only one definition on community organization, which was given by Murray G. Rose. As you know, to study and to be able to engage in community organization practice, it is necessary to have a clear definition. There are several definitions available in literature which are put forth at different times and contexts. So the common element in most of them is matching resource to the needs. So we will discuss here most important and accepted definition on community organization. It is a definition by Murray G. Rose. Community organization is a process by which a community identifies its needs or objectives and order these needs or objectives and develop confidence and will work at those needs and objectives, find the resource to deal with these needs and objectives and take action in respect of them, and in so doing extends and develops cooperative and collaborative attitudes and practice in the communities. It's about definition on community organization which was given by Murray G. Rose. Here the important thing is community itself identify their needs and objectives and order their needs and objectives and develop confidence and will to work at those needs and objectives. And after that find the resources to deal with these objectives and needs and take action in respect of them. And doing so, the extends and develops cooperative and collaborative attitudes and practices in the communities. Now we can discuss about the history of community organization. History talks about the formal organizations which were set up for the welfare of the community. The first effort at community organization for social welfare were initiated in England to overcome the acute problem of poverty which led to beggary. So the first effort of community organization for social welfare were initiated in England, which is to overcome the acute problem of poverty and which led to beggary. And the first effort of this kind was Elizabethan Poor Law in the year 1601 in England, and which was set up to provide services to the needy. So the other important landmark in the history of community organization is formation of London Society of Organizing Charitable Relief and origin of settlement house movement in England during 1880. In fact, these movements had a major impact on United States of America. In 1880, the Charities Organization was set up to put rational order in the area of charity and relief. And the major community organization activities in United States could be classified into three important periods. First one is the charity organization period, that is 1870 to 1917. Second one is the rise of federation, that is 1917 to 1935, and the period of expansion of professional development in the year 1935 to present time. So first we can discuss about the first phase, that is the charity organization period from the year 1870 to 1970. Actually, this era is beginning in social welfare in USA. The first citywide charity organization society was established in the Buffalo in the year 1877 in USA. It's very important. The first citywide charity organization society was established in Buffalo in 1877 in USA. And in USA, Reverend S.H. Gertie, an English priest who had some association with the London Charity Association and had moved to Buffalo in 1873, and he gave the leadership to this movement. And this charity organization was concerned about two things. First one is providing adequate personal services to families and individuals in need, and to take steps to address these issues and problems in social welfare. Apart from this, the Charity Organization Society also took initiatives in promoting cooperation among the various welfare agencies. From this movement of charity organization emerged many other such services oriented organizations, that is Social Service Exchange, Community Welfare Councils, Council of Social Agencies, like that. Now we can move to the rise of federation in the year 1917 to 1935. Actually, it is the period where we can see a growth and development in the chests and councils. Actually, it is started with the rise of war chests in 1917 and end with the enactment of Social Security Act, and which set the stage of development of public welfare program in the year 1935. And another important thing is the American Association of Community Organization was organized in 1918 as a national agency for test and council, and later it became known as Community Chest and Council of America. And during this period that the American Association of Social Workers organized in 1921, and the first general professional organization set up its training for social workers and others who specialized in community organization. So what is community chest? We have just said about the chest and council like that. So what is community chest? Community chest is a voluntary welfare agency or cooperative organization of citizens and welfare agencies which is powerful local force for community welfare organization that handles large funds. So there are major two important functions for this community chest, that is it raises funds through community-wide appeal and distribute them according to the systematic budget procedure, and it promotes cooperative planning, coordination and administration of the community's social welfare. Now we can move to period of expansion and professional development from 1935 to present time. Actually, it is in this period we can see a greater use of community organization process in the field of public welfare. In 1953, the Department of Health, Education and Welfare was established, and another important factor of this period is about the professional development that took place. And some of the important professional developments are: in 1946, the National Conference of Social Work in Buffalo the Association of Study of Community Organization, that means ASCO, was organized. The main objective of this association was to improve the professional practice of organization for social welfare. And in the year 1955, ASCO, that is Association of Study of Community Organization, merged with 6 other professional organizations, which is to form the National Association of Social Workers. The first contemporary textbook on community organization, which is titled as Community Organization of Social Welfare, which was published in the year 1945 and has been written by Wayne McMillan. It's an important question. The first contemporary textbook on community organization, titled Community Organization for Social Welfare, published in the year 1945 and which has been written by Wayne McMillan. And the other important developments took place after the World War II are as follows. They are very specific to community organization area, such as the rehabilitation of physically and mentally challenged people, mental health planning, problems of aging, prevention and treatment of juvenile delinquency, etc. In order to address these issues, separate bodies were set up, and we see the entry of international agencies in the field of community organization. So, the present situation, the community organization is the emergence of new community development programs, which aims at providing services to less developed areas in the international social welfare. Therefore, the present agenda is on working with the whole community and greater emphasis on self-help. So now we can move to community organization in UK. A person called Baldock in the year 1974 has summed up the historical development of UK by dividing into 4 phases. The first phase is from 1880 to 1920. During this period, the community work was mainly seen as a method of social work, and it was considered as a process of helping the individuals to enhance their social adjustments, and it also acted as a major player to coordinate the work of voluntary agencies. The second phase from the year 1920 to 1950, this period saw the emergence of new ways of dealing with social issues and problems. From this phase, we can see a new ways of dealing with social issues and problems. The community organization was closely associated with central and state government's program for urban development. And the important development during this period was its association with community association movement. So during this period, we can see an association with community association movement. Next, we can move to third phase, that is from the year 1950 onwards. In this period, we can see the professional development of social work, and most of the educators and planners try to analyze the shortcomings in the existing system, and it was also a period where social workers sought for professional identity. And in the fourth phase, it is a period that has marked the involvement in the community action. So during this period, we can see the involvement of community action, and it was thus seen as a period of radical social movement, and we could see the conflicts of community with authority, and the association of social workers and community were deprofessionalized during this period. Thus, it was during this period the conflictual strategies that were introduced in the community work, although even now there is no consensus on this issue. So, I have already mentioned Baldock in the year 1974 has summed up the historical development in UK by dividing it into 4 phases. Now we can move to history of community organization in India. Actually, a historical account of community organization is not available in India, as there has been only limited documentation on social work literature in general and on community organization in particular. So, in the year 1952, that the Community Development Project was launched by the Government of India. So, in the year 1952 only, the Community Development Project was launched by the Government of India, and with this, we find the emergence of new era of community work. So, the basic objectives of the Community Development of India was to awaken the rural people of their needs, and instilling in them a sense of ambition for the better life and making them aware of their rights and power to find the solution for their problems. By community organization, Mukherjee had in the mind the setting up of 3 institutions in the village, that is village panchayat, village cooperative and village school. And during this period, the thrust of community work remained rural, whereas social work remained as urban in character. And from 1970 onwards, we could see a new trend in the community work practice. Here, the social workers expanded their scope and operational area from their traditional approach of casework to other development fields. Like, for example, people working with school children started working with community. The NGO and voluntary organization adopted community approach. And this shift has in fact led to use of process of community work. By and large, the community work has remained welfare oriented. And another trend in the community work was involvement of business house in promoting welfare in their neighborhood, which is commonly known as CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. And in the history of community organization, we should discuss about Gandhian approach of community organization. Gandhiji has not given a literary definition on term community, but for him, the village is the basic community with geographical limitation where a number of families come together and cooperate to build a common life. And according to Gandhi, the basic element of community is mutual cooperation and common sharing. Here, Gandhian objective of community organization is to reconstruct the village communities and spread all over the country. And it is through the construction of village community, Gandhiji aims to realize the goal of reconstructing the Sarvodaya social order. So, through the construction of village community, Gandhiji aims at reconstructing the Sarvodaya social order. Here, the role of worker in this approach is very distinct. Here, the worker not only deals with those groups of people or communities who seeks his guidance, but he would approach those communities and which do not ask for help, as his prime work being the reconstruction of society. In this approach, worker takes initiatives and gradually stimulates the community. It demands the regularity and sincerity of the worker in the reconstruction of program. So it's about the Gandhian approach of community organization and history of community organization in India. So now we can discuss about the 2 important concepts which are coming under community organization, that is social capital and human capital. So what is social capital? We can say it is a process of building trusting relationship or mutual understanding and shared actions that bring together individuals, communities and institutions. So this process enables cooperative actions that generate opportunities and resources realized through networks, shared norms and social agency. So we can say social work is currently engaged in social capital at micro, meso and macro linking level. Micro, that means bonding. Here, the individual's capacity to generate other forms of capital like physical, financial, human and cultural capital. For example, family therapy, parenting education, child abuse prevention, support of adoptive and foster families, early intervention programs like that. Bonding means the individual's capacity to generate other forms of capital. And next is social capital at meso level or bridging. We can see social capital that an individual or family can access in his or her community with connection to the formal and informal support networks within the community resources like human, financial, physical and cultural that are realized when these relationships are developed and maintained. For example, relationship with other parents, neighbors, workplace, social service agencies and other organizations. So bridging means social capital that an individual or family can access in his or her community. Next is social capital at macro level or linking. Here, social capital connects individuals and family with external institutes by enhancing their capacity to gain access to the resources, ideas and informations from formal institutions beyond the community. For example, the process of developing government NGO partnership to deliver social services and community working with government and non-governmental organization for care of at-risk populations like that. It's about social capital. Next is human capital. According to Mikhail Parkin, human capital refers to skill and knowledge of human beings. And human capital is the attributes of person that are productive in some economic context. So, human capital is a well-employed human resource that is actively engaged in meaningful, worthwhile work and delivering some level of desired productivity. And we can say some important social aspects of human capital as increase in literacy rate, improvement in health and better living standard. So simply we can say human capital refers to skill and knowledge of human being and which is attributes of a person that are productive in some economic contexts. Now we can move to Arthur Dunham's classification of community organization method. We can see 6 important classification on community organization method by Arthur Dunham. The first one is method of planning and related activities. This method includes fact finding, analysis, evaluation and planning. And next, method of group discussion making and cooperative action. Here we can see meeting practice, conference, committee practice, negotiation, organization including mass organization like that. And third one is method of communication, which includes education, consultation, public relations, formal written communication, formal oral communication, interview like that. And fourth one is method of promotion and social action. Here we can see a legislative promotion, non-legislative procedural social action, direct action like that. And the fifth one is method of financing and fundraising. Here the fund procurement by government agencies, fund raised by voluntary agencies, federated financial campaigning, joint budgeting, etc. Last method is method of administration, which includes administrative activities of agencies concerned with social planning. And there is also an administration of common services or community organization and also recording. It's about the classification of community organization method by Arthur Dunham. Next we can move to the principles of community organization. Principle of community organization in which the term is used here are generalized guiding rules for the sound practice. Here the principles are expressions of value judgments. So the principles of community organization which are being discussed here are within the framework of or in harmony with the spirit and purpose of social work in the democratic society. So now we can discuss about the principles which are given by Murray Rose in the year 1967. He has specified 12 important principles of community organization. The first one is discontent with existing condition in the community must initiate or nourish development of the association. And next is discontent must be focused and channeled into organization, planning and action in respect to specific problems. And third one, discontent which initiates or sustains community organization must be widely shared in the community. Fourth one, the association must involve leaders, both formal and informal, which are identified with and accepted by major subgroups in the community. And fifth one, the association must have goals and methods and procedures of high acceptability. And sixth one, the program of association should include some activities with an emotional content. And the seventh one, the association should seek to utilize the manifest and latent goodwill which exists in the community. Eighth one, the association must develop active and effective line of communication both within the association and between the association and the community. And the ninth principle is the association should seek to support and strengthen groups which it brings together in cooperative work. The 10th principle, the association should develop a space of work relative to existing condition in the community. And 11th one, the association should seek to develop and effective leaders. And the last principle, the association must develop strength, stability and prestige in the community. So these are the important principles given by Murray G. Rose. And now we can discuss about community organizing skills, which includes organizing and planning skills. It means ability to develop and engage people groups, and capacity to organize and run a meeting, and also an ability to represent organization. And second one is interpersonal skills, which includes a capacity to work with different types of people and capacity to understand how to motivate and involve people in change. And also it includes capacity to observe, listen and hear. And third one is analytical skill. It means the capacity to understand the issue, philosophy and style of organization. And also capacity to gather and use data and information which are able to understand different types and models of organizing and advocacy. And fourth one is administrative skill, which means capacity to keep records and also capacity to communicate verbally and in writing, and also capacity to use time productively. Fifth one is skill of political tactics and strategies. It means capacity to understand and analyze power structures, and also capacity to understand and develop relevant tactics, and capacity to understand the important impact of gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation on organizing process and outcomes. And the sixth one is personal characteristics and professional values, which includes the capacity to take initiative and self-directed capacity to ask for help, support, guidance, capacity to make two responsible decisions, capacity to demonstrate integrity, capacity to identify with clients, community, constituency, etc. These are the 6 important skills of community organization. Now we can move to the assumptions of community organization. There are certain assumptions of community organization like people can develop the capacity to deal with their own problems, and people want to change and can change, and people should participate in making, adjusting or controlling the major changes taking place within the communities. And also there is an assumption in changing in community living that are self-imposed and self-developed and have a meaning and permanence that imposed changes do not have. And also there is an assumption like a holistic approach can deal successfully with the problems with which a fragmented approach cannot cope. And the next thing is democracy requires cooperative participation and action in the affairs of community, and people must learn the skill that make this and people must learn these skills that make this possible. These are the assumptions of community organization. Next is process of community organization. Here in the community organization take place through a well-organized process which has definite phases to follow. The various steps of community organization process are given below: study, problem identification and prioritizing, assessment, strategy formation, organization, action, evaluation, modification and continuation. So we can just discuss about each phases. Study, which means carry out a survey or initiate the members of community to collect baseline information about the community. Through this collected information, we should find out the problem and prioritize these problem. And information collected is classified according to the common characteristics and quantified for its magnitude and severity. And in the assessment, the need of the problem that are widely felt by the community are identified and given priority according to the urgency and severity. And it is essential to invite the attention of the community and initiate a discussion to highlight the issue and find out the ways and means to solve these issues. And it is further discussed about the resource required and the plan of action for the meeting of the problem. And next comes evaluation. The community make an assessment of whole process, the outcome and success, and identifies the deviations of failure like that. And while reflecting on outcome of the process, the reasons for failure are identified and assessed so that they are avoided in future. And next is modification and continuation. The modification, in case the task has to be continued, the modifications which are needed to identified in the evaluation and reflection, and which are incorporated in this stage and continued. And in the continuation, from the list of issues, the other issues are taken up and community organization process is continued. And if task undertaken is not successfully completed, the strategy is modified and implemented. So these are the important steps in community organization. So next we can discuss about the models of community organization. Jack Rothman has introduced 3 basic models of community organization. First one is locality development, second one is social planning, and third one is social action. These 3 models are given by Jack Rothman, and we can move to each model in detail. First one is locality development model. This model refers to popular notion of community organization practice, whereby a worker or an agency attempts to develop various services or program to meet the need of targeted population in a defined area. This may also include coordination of various agencies providing services in the area and generation of new program and services as well. So in this model, the community organization practice, the worker or the agency attempts to develop various services and programs to meet the need of the targeted population. And second one is social planning model. It refers to community work where a worker or an agency undertakes an exercise evaluating the welfare needs and existing services in the town, village, municipal area, or maybe in the state, and suggest a possible blueprint for efficient delivery of social service. So this model giving focus to evaluate the welfare needs and if possible suggest a blueprint for a more efficient delivery of social services. Generally, such attempts are confined to a particular field such as housing, education, health, child care, or women development, like that. Next is social action model. From the word itself we can know it's an action model. It refers to community work which is issue oriented and attempts to generate a social movement. Here the worker or agency attempts to mobilize public opinion on a particular issue by educating people. So the issue may be range recognizing relief during natural calamity or combating problems like dowry or wife battering to moral radical change in society or social institution. So this model focusing to generate a social movement. It's about 3 important models given by Jack Rothman. Next, we can just go through what are community-based organization or CBOs. Community-based organizations are not-for-profit organization on a local and international level and which facilitating community efforts for community development. And these CBOs work through people-centered modes of development such as availability of microfinance and community participation in development, ensuring community health education and infrastructure which improves over time. Some of these programs that can ensure bring change in rural communities that are availability of microfinance for micro enterprise, health and education, sustainable agriculture, animal husbandry, safe water, sanitation, etc. So simply we can say like community-based organizations are not for profit, which are the organization on local and national level facilitate community effort for community development. So it's all about today's session. We have discussed too many topics on community organization. First we have discussed about concept of community organization, history of community organization in USA, UK and India. And then we have discussed about 2 important concepts of social capital and human capital. And then we have discussed about Arthur Dunham's classification of community method. Then we have discussed about Murray Rose's principles of community organization. Then we have discussed about the skills of community organization, assumptions of community organization, and steps in community organization. And finally, we have discussed about the models of community organization by Jack Rothman and the community-based organization. So for the next video, I would like to discuss you with the topics on social action, which are coming under Unit 4 of our syllabus. I hope this session will be meaningful for you. So please like my video and do share my videos to your friends. Thank you for your support. See you on next video. Bye.